Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Prince Automation Destination. This side Prince. I hope you are doing well. So in our last lecture of chain test report series, we discussed about ChainLP generator. We set up the ChainLP server with the help of the image provided by the developer. Also, we discussed how to publish the report onto ChainLP server with the help of ChainLP generator. So in case you are not aware what is ChainLP server, how to publish the report onto ChainLP server with the help of ChainLP generator, I would request you to please check out my previous video, which I'll be sharing in icon. And today we are going to talk about ChainLP with S3 Bucket for screenshot storage, right? So what is S3 Bucket? S3 Bucket is one cloud storage to store some of the details. Like for example, if we want to store some files or screenshots, so we can utilize this particular storage, right? So we will try to understand what is the need of storing the screenshot onto some storage, and then we will try to understand how to configure it, right? So I'll be using the latest dependencies. So the version of dependency that I'm going to use in IntelliJ is 1.0.7, and the server version using which we'll be setting up the ChainLP server is 0.0.6. This is the latest version I'm going to utilize, right? So to show you, let me navigate to the project which I'm utilizing. So this is 1.0.7 version of chain test Cucumber JVM, as this is the Cucumber framework, right? Then coming to this particular repository of Docker Hub, right? So the latest version is 0.0.6, which is also tagged as latest, right? So so we have already discussed in the last lecture that we can create the container of this particular image with the help of Docker Compose file. So we have Docker Compose H2 file, MySQL file, and PostgreSQL. So we can integrate with any database. So for now, we'll be utilizing H2. So same we utilized in the last lecture as well. So as this is a Docker command, Docker Compose, so we'll be utilizing Docker Compose command. So this is Docker Compose command to make this server up. So when the container will be created, one Spring Boot server will be up, and that will serve like a dashboard, right? Which would be the ChainLP server. So let me make it up. So we will wait for the welcome message. And the prerequisite is Docker should be installed and it should be up and running. So started ChainLP. So ChainLP is started, and as it is configured locally, so we can access the dashboard of ChainLP with localhost. Right? Now, what we will do is we will try to execute the test case. Before that, let us try to understand what is the need of using S3 bucket in case of ChainLP. So as we work in testing, so evidences are very important for failure, right? So when we are executing the test cases through automation, so we need to store the screenshot into the report, right? So in chain test, we have three type of report generally: simple, email, and ChainLP report, right? So in case of simple generator, screenshots are stored locally, and that report is able to point to that particular screenshot. So we will try to understand how it is pointing, right? But in case of ChainLP, as this is a client server architecture, so we need to publish the screenshot to the server, right? And that screenshot should be stored somewhere onto some central location from where the ChainLP server can point to. So it could be some central storage. So for now, ChainLP is leveraging two cloud services, S3 Bucket and Azure Blob. S3 Bucket is cloud storage service of AWS, and Azure Blob is cloud storage of Azure, right? So for now, S3 Bucket is available, and Azure Blob storage functionality is still in progress from the development point of view. So we will be currently focusing on S3 Bucket, right? But let us try to understand first, right? So I'll be going to this particular framework. So this is the sample project, sample test case, where we are launching the source demo ad. We are entering the credentials, then we are clicking on login, then we are adding one item into the cart, we are navigating to the cart, and then we are verifying the cart. So what we'll do is we will intentionally make it as a failure because we need screenshot on failure, right? And for screenshot on failure, what we have done is we have already written the logic. So let me navigate to step dev, UI step dev, and this is base step dev. So in hooks, what I have done is if screenshot scenario is failed, then we are attaching the screenshot using scenario.attach, right? Now, let us go to chain test, right? So in case of chain test, this is chain test.properties, right? So I'm enabling simple generator. This is the location where the report will be generated, right? And I have enabled the ChainLP generator as well, right? So let us try to understand. So what we will do is we will simply execute this particular test case, which is the intentional failure. So I'll be copying this tag. We'll be going to this particular runner where we have configured this chain test listener, chain test Cucumber listener, right? I'll be now running it, right? And let us see what will happen. So it will launch the application, it will enter the credentials, and it will fail because this is intentional failure. So let me show you the report in Target. So if I go to Target in chain test, I see one chain test folder. If you see, there is a resources folder. So here the screenshots are getting stored, right? So if I open this particular report, right, which is a simple report, in this case, screenshot is getting referred because of the storage is local, meaning the screenshot is stored in resources, right? So this is automatically being taken care. But in case of ChainLP, so now if I go to ChainLP, right, so this is the place. So if I go to ChainLP, I'll see the failure, but if I go here, I don't see the screenshot. Why? Because we are unable to send the screenshot to this, right? So for that, that is the reason that we need to store the screenshot into S3 bucket, right? So what are the steps? So first of all, we'll have to create the S3 bucket on AWS cloud, and we'll have to get the access key. So let me navigate to AWS cloud. So this is my AWS cloud account. You can navigate or create your own account. It is a free tier if you are using it for the limited purpose, right? Then you need to choose the services. You can type in S3 here, right? And you will start seeing this. But in my case, I have already used it. That's why I'm able to see it in recently visited. So I'll be navigating to this. I have already created one bucket, right? But in your case, you can create it. So I'll show you how to create it. So this is the bucket that I have created. You can click on create bucket. You will have to provide some unique name. It should be globally unique, right? And then after you need to select this recommended settings. And at last, you can simply click on create bucket and the bucket will be created, right? So the bucket is created, right? Now what we need to do is we need to click on this profile, right? I'm using the root user, but it is not recommended. You should use the IAM user, right? With some limited information, right? Now the reason is US East1. So the bucket that is created in US East1 in my case. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to security credentials. And here what you need to do, you need to click on create access key, right? And you need to click on this. And after that, what will happen is you will have one access key and then you will have one secret key. You need to store it. So in my case, what I have done is I have already stored them. So this is the access key and this is secret key. And the reason is going to be US East1, right? Okay. Now what we need to do. So first of all, we need to create the S3 bucket. Now we need to configure the credentials by environment variables or system properties or .aws folder. So we'll try to understand how we can do it. So first we'll try to understand how we'll set up an environment variables. So whatever we got, right? Access key, then secret key and reason. So we'll have to put it into the IntelliJ from where we are running it. So I'm going here, right? And we can click on this particular edit configuration. And here you will see somewhere environment variables, right? And I have already copy pasted here. So what I will do is I'll copy this particular key, right? And this is the value, right? So I'm removing the spaces as well, right? Then after we need to copy this particular thing. And then we need to copy the access key, right? Make sure to remove the spaces. It may impact, right? Then the reason, this is also important, right? And then what we'll do is we'll provide this. Okay. Now we need to click on apply and we need to click on OK, right? So I'll come back to the slides. So this is what we have set up. Now we need to configure that we need to indicate to the framework that we want to store the screenshot onto the AWS, right? So for that purpose, we'll be going to chain test properties, right? We'll be enabling this particular cloud storage and we'll be providing the storage name, which is AWS S3. Then we'll be providing the bucket name, right? So I'm going to IntelliJ, right? And I'm going to chain test dot properties, right? Here, what I'll be doing is I'll be going and making this as true. And we'll have to copy this and simply provide it here. Now we need to provide the bucket name. So I'm navigating here, right? And I'll be navigating to S3 bucket, right? So let me see. So this is my S3 bucket. So I can simply copy this particular bucket and can provide it here, right? Now we have provided this. Let me come back to the slides once more, right? So above step will help you store the screenshot to S3. Now, if we have configured this, right? So with the help of this, when the test case will fail, the screenshots will be stored to S3, right? But the next thing is ChainLP server should also be able to retrieve it. So we'll have to do the same settings into the ChainLP server, right? So in ChainLP server, what I'll be doing is I'll be navigating to settings section and I'll be configuring the same access key, secret key and reason, right? So I'll be going to this particular chain test, right? And I'll be coming back, right? And simply I will add settings, right? Now, if I click on secrets, you will see S3 related things, Azure Blob related things. Azure Blob is still in progress. So we'll configure S3 related things, right? So this is access key, secret key, and AWS reason, right? So I'll simply copy this particular access key, right? And then I'll copy this particular secret key. And then we'll have to copy this particular reason as well. Okay. Now I want to show you that when we are making the call, when we are saving it actually, so these things are getting encrypted. So you see they are getting encrypted. So these are not the actual value. So we don't need to worry about the security, right? Now what we will do is everything is set up, right? So we have configured locally to store the screenshot to S3. Then we have configured it into the ChainLP server so that ChainLP server can point to. Now the next thing is we are going to run it, right? So I'll execute the same test case once again. And let us see whether we are able to store it. So test case is failed. Now we will navigate to ChainLP server, right? And here we'll be clicking on chain test and we'll be refreshing it. So the latest build is before 22 seconds, right? So I'll be navigating to this and then after I will try to check the test case and you see we got the failure and we are able to see the screenshot, right? While in case of build 1, screenshot was not getting pointed, right? Okay. In this case, it is pointing. 1 second. I think this is build 2 actually. For build, let us take a look. So for build 1, there was no screenshot. While for build 2, there is a screenshot, right? So this is how we can configure the screenshot in case of ChainLP with the help of S3 bucket, right? So this is one way, right? So we discussed that we can provide this access key, secret key, AWS reason in environment variables. There is another way as well, which is recommended way. So for that purpose, what we'll have to do is we'll have to navigate to this .aws folder, which would be under C users and your username and .aws. You'll have to create one folder .aws. Then you'll have to add 2 files, config file with file extension and credentials. So let me show you what we need to provide here, right? So default reason, whatever the reason that you want to point, this is US ist 1. Okay, so AWS will automatically take a look into it, right? Okay, then credentials, where we'll be providing the access key and secret key, right? So this is how we can configure it, right? Now what I will do is I will simply go here and I'll remove the environment variables, right? And I will try to execute without these environment variables. So in this case, it should be able to point from .aws because I have already added them, right? So what I will do is I will execute the test case once again and let us see. So we got the failure, right? Let us wait for tear down to complete. Tear down is completed. We will be navigating to this and then after we'll be coming here. So we got the third failure, right? Here also we should be able to see the screenshot. So we are able to see the screenshot. So we can configure these credentials either in environment variables or we can configure them in a .aws folder with config and credentials file, right? So but this is the recommended way, right? And this is how it works, right? Now the next thing is What are the other storage options? So for now, AWS is the only option. S3 is Azure Blob is in progress. I had a discussion with developer yesterday. So based on discussion, Azure Blob is going to be the next storage where the progress is going on. DB is also going to be the another option. So he is planning to introduce DB as well. So in that case, we won't have to rely on third-party storage services, right? So this is what I wanted to cover, guys, as part of current lecture. Thank you for watching. I would request you to please like, share, and subscribe. And in the next lecture, we will try to understand how to integrate chain test report in test engine.